So in today's video, I will tell you every single little thing that you need to know in order for you to actually boost your testosterone levels, because you can actually boost your testosterone levels naturally. And boosting your testosterone levels naturally will be the best thing that you can do for yourself, because it will make sure that you are happy, you will get a good quality of life, you will be confident, you will have more motivation, more drive, better cognitive functions. Now, I am a personal trainer, I am also a nutritionist. However, since I'm not an endocrinologist, every single thing that I'm about to say in today's video will be backed up by studies, so you can look at it in the description down below if you are skeptical to what I'm saying today. But I will speak about the dietary inventions that I have done myself in order for me to actually boost my testosterone levels naturally from 600 nanograms per deciliter to 900 nanograms per deciliter. So we'll speak about the dietary inventions, the things that you need to consume on a regular basis, the things that you need to avoid at all times because they're actually going to destroy your testosterone levels, and the daily habits that you should do on a regular basis in order for you to actually maintain your testosterone levels and to boost them obviously as well. Testosterone is not like a stable thing. It's not always going to be 700 nanograms per deciliter. Testosterone ranges, it goes up and down constantly. It's never going to be stable. So even if you do a blood test, just know that depending on what the time you took your blood test, or even depending if you had the meal before, you might see a big change in your testosterone levels. However, blood test is obviously going to be the most accurate form that you can see if you have high or low testosterone levels. However, right now, if you don't want to do a blood test, we can still get kinda a good estimate upon if you at least have low, medium, or high testosterone levels. So you answer these three questions. Question number one, do you have high motivation and high drive? Are you motivated, feel confident? That is a big indicator upon your testosterone levels. Question number two, do you actually enjoy doing really hard things like working out or perhaps going for ice bath? Do you actually seek pain? Because the higher the testosterone levels we have, the more we actually enjoy effort. Okay, and the third one, do you wake up in the morning with the morning wood, or can you get an erection on demand? Now, if all of those three questions are yes, 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 I am driven, I have morning wood, and I love doing hard things, most likely you don't have low testosterone. So when it comes to testosterone, there are actually a lot of things that we can consume on a regular basis in order for us to boost our testosterone. And the most important thing that we're gonna have to consume is going to be saturated fats. Saturated fats are super important in order for you to maintain your hormone balance in the body. So without having any form of fats, you won't even be able to produce any hormones. So we need to make sure that we have a lot of saturated fats. And that is why the typical bodybuilding diet, like lean meat and carbohydrates like chicken, broccoli, and rice, is so useless because it's not coming with a lot of healthy saturated fats. Bodybuilders obviously don't need to think about how much fat they're putting into their system because they are injecting themselves with testosterone rather than producing their own. So you need to make sure that you are on a diet that have a lot of saturated fats. That's number one. Now the second thing that we need to make sure of is having a lot of cholesterol as well. Now cholesterol will actually be converted into hormones like testosterone, estrogen, androgens, vice versa. From what I can see from all the studies I have read, I have never seen a single study showcasing that dietary cholesterol actually affects LDL. And cholesterol is super, super important because if you don't actually have it, your body wouldn't even be in homeostasis, meaning you would literally die or your brain would stop to function without it. So you need to have cholesterol in your body, and you should try to consume it on a regular basis, like from eggs and red meat. Something that is super important as well is vitamin D, vitamin D3 in particular. Now, when I was in Sweden this winter, I'm not getting exposed to sun for a number of months because we don't get any sun where I live in Sweden. And when that happens, my testosterone level were 200 nanograms lower than they used to be just because I don't get enough sun exposure. So that just showcases how important vitamin D3 is. Now, if you are currently right now working in an office, you need to supplement with vitamin D3 because you're probably not getting enough sun, and that way your testosterone levels will be much lower. But if you're supplementing with vitamin D3, just make sure that you have K2 as well, because K2 will actually help the absorption of vitamin D3. How much should you supplement with? Well, this really depends. Like myself, I was supplementing with 7,000 IUs when I didn't get any sunshine whatsoever in Sweden, but also depending on your skin pigmentation. So if you have darker skin, then you will need to have way more vitamin D3 because it will be much harder for you to absorb it because you have way more melanin in your skin. However, if you are like myself and you have a little bit of paler skin, you might not need to supplement so much vitamin D3 because you will have an easier time absorbing it because you have less melanin. So, zinc. Zinc is probably the compound or the vitamin that is the most important when it comes to testosterone production. It has a huge impact, and therefore is why it's so important that we're getting enough zinc in our diet. Now, zinc, you can either consume things like red meat, oysters, egg yolks, but if you want to supplement with it as well, you can supplement with things like 15 milligrams every single day. And it's actually very, very important for you to consume zinc on a regular basis, because zinc is not like glycogen or glucose or sugar that you store in your liver. No, it's actually very hard for us to store zinc in our body. Therefore, it's much more important for you to consume it on a regular basis. But if you supplement with zinc, just make sure as well that you have a form of copper, because otherwise you will create a deficiency, or at least that you're eating a lot of things that has a lot of copper. Let's say that you have some bad habits and you are actually addicted to something, or you have a lot of lady friends coming over. It's even more important for you to actually supplement with zinc or consuming a lot of zinc then, because every single time you're doing your little dirty business, you will deplete your system of not only B vitamins, but also of zinc. So it's super important that you are supplementing with zinc on a regular basis. Another thing that we can consume on a regular basis is going to be boron. Okay, boron is something that you can find in things like nuts, you can find boron in avocados, but unfortunately the amount of boron that you get in those things are going to be extremely low in comparison to what you can actually supplement with. And if you're looking at this study right here, consuming borons up to 10 milligrams seems to actually improve your testosterone production to a very high amount. And 10 milligrams is what I'm supplementing with as well. Now, one could argue that ashwagandha could potentially increase our testosterone production, not so much by increasing testosterone, but rather by decreasing cortisol. So if you're a stressed individual, then that will definitely decrease the amount of testosterone that you're producing. Creatine does seem to increase DHT production, dihydrotestosterone. So creatine is something that you could supplement with as well. And even if it doesn't actually increase your testosterone production, you will just look more muscular, and the cognitive abilities from creatine are just freaking phenomenal. So supplementing with creatine is something that I think you should do anyway, even if it doesn't really increase your testosterone production. So those are the things that I find work the best for myself to supplement with. Now, there's so many things that you could potentially consume, like there's so many plants and stuff like that, that seems to work, but I only want to make sure that I give you the things that I actually do myself on a regular basis that I know work for a fact. Now, there's so many things that we need to avoid at all times, because there's so many things that are actually going to destroy your testosterone production. And we know this because we can measure sperm counts. And by measuring sperm counts, we'll actually know that our testosterone production is being decreased by these particular things. And these are things that our ancestors were not exposed to on a regular basis. However, in today's society, we are getting exposed to these things, and they are accumulating, and they will decrease your testosterone levels. Now, one of them is going to be too high amounts of body fat percentage. The higher your body fat percentage, the more estrogenic you will be, meaning the lower your testosterone levels will be. Now, on the other hand, if your testosterone levels are too low, like let's say under 10% body fat, most likely your testosterone levels will be lower as well, because your body just wants to protect you, and it actually wants to make sure that you're living to see another day, rather than thinking about, I need to produce more testosterone. Avoiding things like alcohol as well, very estrogenic, and causes a lot of inflammation, destroy your liver. However, there are things like BPAs that we actually get from plastic water bottles, like literally drinking from plastic water bottles or exposing yourself to a lot of plastic will decrease your testosterone levels. Or like heating up a plastic container in a microwave, for instance, this will definitely decrease sperm count, and therefore you will decrease your testosterone production. Now, this is a very hard thing to monitor, but just making sure that you're drinking good water, like either spring water or good filtered water. And there's been so many studies when it comes to polyester and polyester. If you're wearing polyester, all of a sudden you will decrease your testosterone levels. Now, is this actually true? And I would say that yes, it seems to be accurate. It seems that polyester actually seems to decrease your testosterone production. How this works is that since our skin is an organ, it absorbs every single thing we put upon it. since we're wearing polyester, it seems that it has an effect on testosterone production as well. Now, myself, I do wear polyester now and then. I don't want to be crazy about every single thing I do, like I can't touch plastic, I can't wear polyester. No, sometimes I wear polyester, sometimes I drink from plastic water bottles, but I try to avoid if I can. Our daily habits gonna have the biggest impact upon your testosterone level, for sure. There's no doubt about it. And the most important of them all is definitely going to be sleep. Trying to follow your circadian rhythm, waking up when the sun goes up, going to bed when the sun goes down. So we constantly want to do some form of explosive movement, like sprinting, or we want to train our type 2 muscle fibers, like doing a lot of powerlifting or heavy weight training, will definitely increase your testosterone levels to a significant amount. And you can see a big difference when it comes to like marathon runners and powerlifter. Like the testosterone levels are just way higher for the powerlifters and the Olympic weightlifters when you're comparing them to marathon runners, because the marathon runners mostly are in the catabolic phase rather than being in this anabolic phase that are the type 2 muscle fiber group is in. Now, there's a lot of talk about cold plunging, going into cold water, that will actually increase your testosterone levels. And there's a lot of talk about saunas as well. Now, these things are very complicated because it seems actually that too much heat exposure is actually negative for testosterone production in your ball sack. However, it seems that the benefits that you get from saunas are so good, so potentially you will actually see an increase in testosterone either way if you're exposing yourself to, let's say, a lot of toxins and a lot of like BPAs and vice versa. Now, the two biggest hacks, and I think these ones actually have one of the biggest impacts when it comes to testosterone production, is first, obviously trying to be more like our primal ancestors, but secondly is trying to be competitive. You can see this with a lot of fighters, like bodies perceiving that if they are losing the fight, they are literally dying, and therefore the body will produce so much more testosterone. So just by being competitive, you will increase your testosterone production. Now, this can be through weightlifting, this can be through martial arts, this can be through anything. But the harder the thing that you're doing is, and the more competitive you are, the higher your testosterone levels will be. Because this is just how our primal ancestors were. If they were not competitive, they would die. They wouldn't get food, they wouldn't get shelter, and they wouldn't be able to reproduce.
Here's a quick sum up of this video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.